Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm Jonathan Friedman. I'm joined in the studio by our next guest, Glenn.
Quiron.
Quiron, you're going to have to help me out. We talked
Quiron,
about this
no
before I got
problem.
on air.
We
I've already
did.
butchered it.
Yeah, it's the heat of the moment.
Glenn coming to us from the Rotary Club of Boston. Glenn, welcome.
Thank you.
And we talked a little bit before we got on the air about not only your involvement with the Rotary Club of Boston, but your entrepreneurial roots.
Yeah.
And that's how you sort of came about to be involved with the Rotary Club of Boston.
Yes, more or less. I came about, my connection with Rotary goes back to the 90s when I was an ambassadorial scholar for Rotary Club from a chapter in Maine. Postgraduate, after getting my master's in voice performance and vocal pedagogy, I, with the help of Rotary, was able to study and live as a singer, and also taught English on the side in Rome.
Oh,
so that was my connection to Rotary. I was always familiar with Rotary growing up as a very strong organization within the city that I grew up in Maine, in Augusta, Maine. And they had a very strong presence and were very active in the community. So I always knew of them. That was my first, I guess, if you would say, on-hands experience with Rotary.
So why don't you, for the benefit of our listeners, take us back a little bit and give us a little bit of context of Rotary. I think the framework that you talked about is probably familiar to a lot of people. Small town, Rotary Club, the weekly luncheon,
weekly
sort
luncheon.
of perspective,
Right.
Meeting in the church basement or wherever
or
in town,
wherever.
Rotary Club or
Right.
wherever it may be.
Right.
So why don't you tell our listeners a little background? I know the Rotary Club is an enormous organization internationally.
It is, with tens of thousands of clubs throughout the world. And what's really nice, we're really in this great spot here in Boston, because being such an international city, a city in which there are so many universities, so many international business people, and they come from all over the world. And because our club is actually the 7th oldest in the world, founded about 106 years ago, so we get a lot of visitors coming to our weekly meeting from all over. Last week from India and 2 regions of Italy. So it's a great way to meet people from the network is incredible.
Now, are those generally other members, people that have memberships around the world?
They
and they'll
are.
be traveling to the Boston area,
They
and
could
will
be
decide
traveling.
to stop in, meet some folks,
Exactly.
see an interesting
They see the
presentation.
signs. Yeah, they see the signs around the city, and so they want to have that, have that feeling of knowing someone, if you will, here in the city. A lot of them have students, children that are studying here, or they're here on business. And so they see the signs. There are many, many signs around the city, some 12 plus signs around the city that indicate that we do meet at noon at the Park Plaza, the McCormick and Schmick. Every week we do have a guest speaker, different subjects. Last week we had a great talk from an organization called Fair Foods, which tied in very well into the theme of this year and what will be the theme of our district next year, because our district is over 40 different clubs throughout Massachusetts that form a district. And big focus, me being the president this year, our term runs from July 1st to June 30th. Me being the president, every president brings something different to the club, different focus. And part of my passions, I guess, from being in the food industry is the plight of the homeless and the hungry. So I've been working very closely for about 10 years now with the Women's Lunch Place, which is a great organization. And they are our first nonprofit member of our club as well. So they're a day shelter for poor and homeless women. So bringing that focus, and then we also sponsored, so we're really in our community, not only we've got members that are at the Women's Lunch Place today helping serve lunch to the guests that are there. We had this presentation from Fair Foods last week. They are an organization that promotes healthy eating, but also affordable healthy eating with lots of different pickup locations throughout the city. In addition to that, back in December, we sponsored and organized a whole forum on the plight of the homeless as seen after the effects of the closing of the Long Island Bridge. So you can see we
So really a local, very local presence in terms of
very,
trying to
very
address
local.
social issues.